soup.
Man, this movie sucked to watch, huh?
Yeah, you weren't too enthused about the outro on The Last Jedi, about having to do this next.
No, I was hoping with the birth of my kid that you were just going to skip over me, but no, you brought me back in.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I'm Beau Oliver, joined here today with Aaron the Nerd Soup Monkey and Teddy, and we are back to complete. Well, actually, no, we have some more movies to go because they made Rogue One and Solo. But yeah, no, for the Skywalker Saga, that's it. Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker.
Until
Star
they make 10.
Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, until they make
10 comes out.
episode 10. Wow, what a movie. This is one that is, there's been a lot of controversial movies throughout the years when it comes to Star Wars, but this one I think sits on top because it was just such a soulless, tasteless, flavorless piece of corporate trash. That's really all you can call it at this point.
Speaking of which, my meal I ate while watching this was Burger King, which is pretty much the same thing. Don't ask me why.
Whoa, don't take shots at the king.
I'm even more mad because I watched this during lunch and I didn't eat lunch for this, so I can watch it.
You had nothing to throw up.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually really do like Burger King, so.
Yeah, that was just an unwarranted fucking shot at the king for no reason. You working undercover for Don's?
I'll take a check real fast.
They ain't paying you.
This is,
McChickens.
This movie's like, I had no fun watching it. And it's such a weird movie coming off The Last Jedi, where that movie was so divisive, but it was like, you either really loved it or you really hated it. This one, no matter where you fell on The Last Jedi, you just didn't like this movie. Because if you love The Last Jedi, you hate that it basically revamped, basically contradict everything set up in that film. And if you didn't like The Last Jedi, well, then you just don't like this movie because it's not a good movie.
No, that's what happens. It's Bronn and Tyrion. When Tyrion's trying to please everybody, when he's the acting hand of the king, and Bronn tells him, if you do that, you're going to end up getting yourself killed. And I think that's what Star Wars did. It was the ultimate shot in the foot, trying to appease two masters. Never, ever works. And so, yeah, this movie, it's trying to tie up so many things, and that's why I said it was soulless, because it's got all these references to things you know. It's them going full corporate greed when it comes to IP, when it comes to blockbuster filmmaking. References, characters resurrected that have no business being in this movie, moments that are reminiscent of the... I mean, talk about derivative. The Force Awakens, at least it had heart. This has none of the heart, but it's very derivative of everything we've already seen in this universe. Really, all of it amounts to is just white noise. Surface level philosophy, surface level action. It's all non-stop, doesn't stop moving from the very first scene, which is actually one of the better scenes of the movie, but the rest of it's just garbage. It really, I was so ready to turn it off with 30 minutes left, because I know where this is going. I've seen this before. Once. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Usually it's like a slow process from like seeing a movie. Like I didn't like hate this movie when I first saw it because I was still like experiencing it for the first time, and like all like the things that happened. Like I kind of was like, oh, that's interesting.
Doesn't that make you more mad though? As he kind of fell into the trap of like, oh, this isn't that bad.
Yeah,
and then you go back on, and you're like,
I think a lot of people
this?
had that opinion initially. It was a fun ride.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a minute, that's it.
But on rewatch, it lost every single aspect of that because it's not new anymore, and it's something like, oh yeah, I already know that this has happened, and now that I'm seeing it again, I'm like, why is this happening? Like you said, it starts off with a bang. I feel like the first 20 minutes of this movie is just trying to quickly reshape things just so they can make sense for the rest of the movie, because that's what they wanted to do, because they had no fucking clear plan for this trilogy. So it's kind of like, all right, we got to backtrack some of the things on The Last Jedi just so it makes sense within this film, and it just feels like a rushed mess.
It just sucks because we started the last pod that you want to give directors their freedom, and they gave it to them here, but it was just they weren't on the same page at all.
No, you gave two directors freedom, so had two different ideas of where they wanted to take the franchise.
They weren't on the same page at all.
Well, that's one of the biggest problems I think Kathleen Kennedy has had, is that she's trying to cater these movies in order to make back their investment. So she's had issues with other directors, like on Solo, like on Rogue One, and also, I guess, with Rian Johnson not moving forward with his trilogy yet. So to bring back J.J. Abrams, I think that was very much a corporate move, that we need to go back on everything we did in The Last Jedi. So even though she did the right thing one time for The Last Jedi, 2 years later, they basically retconned that movie. Like I said on the Last Jedi review, Adam Driver is so good in that movie, and he's also good in this one. But the fact that they made him say some of these lines of dialogue is offensive to him as an actor, especially when he went all in for The Last Jedi, and then comes back and, like I said, goes all in for this one. But, telling Rey that she's a Palpatine, it completely takes away from a big chunk of their relationship in The Last Jedi.
It takes away from everything from 1 and 2. Well, not 1 and 2. 7 and 8. It's like it
I
kind
can
of
argue
feels like
it ruined the Phantom Menace also.
But it kind of feels like watching those, like, it diminishes watching 7 and 8 because of everything they do in 9. It kind of makes those movies worse.
I mean, my biggest criticism of Return of the Jedi was that it wasn't big enough for an ending of a trilogy that's so acclaimed. Now, oh my God, let's go back. I'm sorry I ever said anything about Return of the Jedi.
What's even worse, or like the most upsetting for me, is that this acting crew is a hell of a crew. Daisy Ridley does a great job. John Boyega does a great job. Adam Driver does phenomenal. He's my favorite part of all 3 of these. And they do what they can with this, but it's just the story makes no sense.
I don't think there's a better example in Star Wars of 2 actors peddling shit better than Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley. Because like you said, they're great, and they're very talented actors, and they're giving it all in this movie. For Daisy Ridley being pulled in so many different directions in terms of the character of Rey. In one moment you're a Palpatine, one moment you're good, one moment you're bad. It's not, oh, this character's so conflicted. Can't you relate to this? Isn't it so visceral that you feel her confliction? No, it's just bullshit. It's just lazy writing, trying to keep the audience on their toes because you know the retcon is coming.
Well, because
everybody cried about her being a nobody.
They shoved a 2-movie arc into one movie. Even a 3 movie arc. It's like she just goes through so many different phases in here where it's just like, okay, it's never really believable and it never really is convincing. It just feels like it's something that's like, it was supposed to be a sequel to The Force Awakens, but they just had to put it at number 3 because of how they planned out these movies, or lack of planning out.
Well, the biggest, elephant in the room is Palpatine, obviously.
He did great too. I think he was phenomenal.
Another, like I said, in terms of,
shame.
There's been a lot of actors who have had to peddle shit and they've done it very well. He's an example in the prequels. I think he's great in Revenge of the Sith, and he's always been good as the Emperor. That voice still hits, and he's still so menacing in those moments in that scene. Even the design, the look of the character, but if from a storytelling standpoint, why are you here? They never let the new trilogy, the new face of the franchise, the faces of the franchise, Rey, Finn, and Poe, come into their own. And say that this is their story, that we're going to establish these characters and then build on that. Because it just feels like a conclusion of all the legacy characters that we've known for so long at this point. And people were already frustrated with their roles in this movie. So for them, they're trying to they're trying to appease so many different types of fans. And like I said, when you do that, you're just going to piss off everyone.
But what happened to Finn, man? They opened up Finn so good. Stormtrooper, it's such a new thing in Star Wars. The Stormtrooper turned good, and then they just do nothing with him for all 3 movies.
Yeah, he becomes a one-note character in this movie.
It's sad.
It is, because even the few bright spots he has in this movie are too far and in between. I actually really like when he kind of meets with the other stormtroopers that are like him.
Yeah.
And I felt like that's like the only time in this movie that we actually got to get more of Finn and like have him grow as a character. Because everything else, like you said, is just like, where's Rey? I need to follow Rey. Rey needs to be safe. And it's just annoying. Let this character breathe on his own. And those are the only times he really got to do that.
Yeah, and the character of Jannah, the new character that he meets, also the former stormtrooper, she's almost trying to convince him to stop following Rey around, saying, hey, this is ridiculous. Why are you simping on this maximum level? But it's once again, they're cramming in an interesting storyline for Finn that's going to go nowhere. This isn't going to be something they build on. Who knows if John Boyega ever comes back to this franchise? Hinting that he's force sensitive, that these other stormtroopers were force sensitive. Once again, the relationship between Rey and Finn now it's so weird. It's like they were so afraid to give any of these characters a true romance, because they even hint at it with Rey and Poe in this movie at times.
No, but it had to be Kylo and Rey. It had to be them because they're the biggest stars.
Yeah, give me a love triangle.
I know.
Shout out to the Reylos.
I think that the Finn, Rey, Kylo love triangle could have worked, but they truly just didn't know what to do with Finn. So they're juggling all these characters, and I think the enthusiasm for this franchise through their performances of Oscar Isaac and John Boyega is so palpable, and you can feel it, man. They have such a great boyhood wonder when they're playing these characters. It's very wholesome, a lot of the interactions they have with each other, and also just with their environment. Poe's relationship with BB-8. It's very sweet. It's cute. But they're just given nothing to work with. And once again, they're cramming too much comedy, too much wholesomeness between these characters because they haven't had a lot of time together.
Best part of the movie was C-3PO's comedy, though.
I thought to myself at one point in the movie, why is he hanging out with these bozos?
He was killing it.
C-3PO
He was on his head all movie.
He was, yeah.
I love that he had an arc. I did like that a lot, that he had a little bit of an arc.
Right, but C-3PO getting his mind wiped, it it kind of represents the franchise. We're just going to keep doing this over and over again.
All right,
but
he got his
wipe your
mind
minds and give you the same thing, slightly different.
But he got it back a half hour later.
I think
we lost Chewbacca. We got him back a half hour later.
I think the biggest case of them literally rehashing something shot for shot is when the bad guy always shows the good guy their friends dying in space. Happened obviously in Return of the Jedi. Happened last movie with Snoke, and it happened again in this movie. Why do they like to do that so much?
It's a shitty way to die.
Hasn't worked once. Not very convincing because it hasn't worked on one of them once. I think even with Poe, like you said at the comedy, obviously Oscar Isaac, best actor of the generation, some say. He it's just cringeworthy. And obviously, I don't know how good of I don't think any amount of I don't think any level of delivery can help some of these because they're just stuck in the wrong moment and they're just not particularly funny.
They fly now.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I got red.
Joss Whedon should. I don't know what they should do to him. I don't know if they have any legal grounds. But he should pay for what he did to blockbuster filmmaking throughout the 2010s.
Well, when people say the quote-unquote Marvel Force humor, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a Disney thing.
It's become a Disney thing.
It's a shame, really, because it doesn't fit. Even the humor in the original trilogy, it always fit the scenario and the situation. These just come out of left field just for the intention of getting a nice, let's have some levity here.
But when he wrote it, did he think that was going to get a laugh?
That's such a mean question. Yeah,
but think about it.
Yeah. The story was based on. It's got elements of Colin Trevorrow's story, who was initially supposed to direct Episode 9. Screenplay credits: Chris Terrio, J.J. Abrams. They were brought on at It was basically a last moment hire after they kicked Trevorrow off. So how much time do they actually have to work on this script? I think that's an issue that the MCU has as well, where they're not giving these filmmakers enough time to do the best version of these stories.
And I think even where Kylo...
So they rushed this movie out too?
Yeah, had to get it done. But like you said, this isn't the first time they've had to switch directors on one of these movies, and it's very apparent in all of them. But even where you start with these two characters, Rey and Kylo, right? Kylo coming off of him, which I interpreted solidifying his path on the dark side and continuing and what I assumed at the time is he's just going to continue this and basically be his downfall. He kind of is that for the first 10 minutes, but then once he's linked up with Rey again, he becomes the same Kylo we had in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Not soft, but more open to joining Rey and kind of seeing the light shine through him. Not choosing to be a mass murderer is soft now?
No, but there was a point in the movie where you thought, or even before this, that he was 100% bad. At the end, I never felt like he was 100% bad.
At the end of Last Jedi, they set it up, I think. It's pretty clear that he threw that all away once Rey didn't take his hands.
But you wanted him to continue down that path, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
right.
But I also, the switch to going good, I didn't really hate.
Well, I think that was an idea that they were always going to do.
I don't hate that he became, actually, that's kind of what I wanted his arc to be, and maybe do a little reverse with him and Rey, but the way it flows from the end of Last Jedi to this movie just doesn't really make sense to me. Some of the ideas are there, and some of the ideas could work, but it just doesn't flow well together as a collective unit when you think of all the three movies together, and that's probably the biggest problem with the movie. Do I hate that Palpatine's back? Not necessarily, not the idea of it, but how it's executed, where he just shows up in the beginning, and...
If it was set up like that in the beginning, then yeah, the fact that I didn't like that they shoehorned him in
coming back is never going to be a thing that came out of creativity or love for the franchise.
Not at all, no.
So it was such a last-minute addition. We're just going to throw him in there because people recognize it.
They had it with Snoke, and they killed Snoke off.
Yeah. Right, because they didn't want to follow what Rian Johnson did, but we would be living in a much better world if they just would have done that.
Because if you're going to redeem Kylo, then you need someone bigger. You need bigger draws for them to team up against. And you're who's the biggest draws we can find? And that's Palpatine.
I'd rather bring back Darth Maul.
They did already.
I know.
But truly, the decision to relate Rey to Palpatine is so ridiculous. And the scenes that they share are so... I always often say I don't understand when people say this movie feels like fan fiction, because it's all fan fiction, but this truly did feel like fan fiction, especially those scenes between Rey and Palpatine. The dialogue there, I feel bad for those actors having to say those lines to each other. Once again, it's Palpatine giving her the same speech that...
He gives everyone.
That he's given everyone, and it never works. Rey saying, I'm all the Jedi, I'm all the Sith. There was a point in The Last Jedi to really hone in on the death and destruction, what it takes to fight a war, how much you're going to lose, how much you have to persevere. In this one, Poe is looking out of his ship and he's seeing all his mates dying. He's like, snaps, other guy. And then Lando comes, ha ha,
with a million,
we're back in business.
With a million
and
troopers.
He's just, all these other people are alive.
I did like Lando in here, though. I always like
Love
Lando.
Lando. Billy
Yeah.
D is a fucking legend.
I remember the.
He doesn't do much in the movie, but
He was doing acid on that desert planet.
Remember the discourse when he was like, did he want to bang?
His daughter.
Well, was that confirmed? That's his daughter or granddaughter? Or like that was
Sure,
like a
yeah,
fan
they're
theory?
related.
Okay, because I left this at the rewatching. He's definitely trying to have sex with her.
A lot of people read it that way. Yeah. They could
yeah.
have did a better job of that. I think because these movies were so sexually repressed that people were just starving for anything.
Just
So
like, yeah,
like,
give me
oh, they
something.
had Lando.
I thought
They had
Chewie-
the one kiss,
Yeah.
but then it's like 2 seconds long. So like that's all the romance you're getting in this franchise.
I thought Chewie was about to catch some bodies this movie. That would have been new. We never see Chewbacca.
God
He
forbid he gets
catches
something.
bodies in the violent way.
Yeah, that's true.
I love when they were running away in the Star Destroyer. They hit every single shot as they were running and shooting. Every single shot was bullseye. You never felt like someone could die during this movie.
Oh no, I think all the tension was removed. I also love, this is obviously a nitpick, I think, but if they would have established this further, in the first movie they established that all the stormtroopers are kids who were stolen from their families, trained to be killing machines, basically slaves. This movie, whenever they pick off a stormtrooper, they're like, yippee! You know, they fucking blew one of those guys to smithereens. They turned him to atoms. They're like, yeah! Oh, okay. You know, they are the bad guys.
This
Fair.
emotionally abused person from a childhood.
These tragic figures, and Finn's like having a blast. But also, I think the
If
worst...
anyone who could know who it's like.
Right. Yeah, he's just. Also, some of the screams in this movie made me belt out laughing when they think Chewbacca died.
Oh, Daisy?
Chewie!
And then the Finn scream, he's like,
no! Dude, I was thinking the same thing.
they're trying.
Their reactions are so bad.
But nobody in the world thought Chewbacca was dead. We were all just kind of mad that they tried to fool us.
Yeah. I mean, that was like
I was more disrespected that they tried killing off Chewie. Like they tried doing it.
That was another cool moment I thought when I first
It
see
was
it.
disrespectful.
And I still think it
To
is.
Chewie, you know?
Yeah. No, they disrespected him this whole trilogy. Let's not sugarcoat it. All right, guys, before we get to the second half of this review, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for today's episode, Smile Brilliant. I think that we can all agree that we live in stressful times, and stress is the number one cause of why people grind their teeth in their sleep. The damage of grinding and clenching in your sleep can be irreversible, resulting in worn-down tooth enamel, cracked teeth, chipped teeth, and infections. The cost of cosmetic fixes can run you thousands of dollars, and night guards at the dentist can cost anywhere between $200 to $600. But with one of Smile Brilliant's affordable, custom-fitted night guards, you can return to a peaceful night of sleep without worrying about any potential damage to your teeth. And right now, you can visit SmileBrilliant.com and receive 20% off all products simply by using our promo code NERDSOUP. Their night guards run as low as $45 per guard, plus they have a great selection of other great dental products like whitening trays, whitening gels, electric toothbrushes, and much more. So head on over to SmileBrilliant.com and don't forget to use our promo code NERDSOUP for 20% off all products. So don't wait, click that link and take care of your teeth.
When they're doing like the Force thing and the lightning comes out, I thought that was pretty cool. When I saw it in theaters and now.
Undeniably, that moment when she slices his TIE fighter is awesome. That was really cool.
I think that's a cool
I was like,
sequence.
I wish Star Wars did more of this.
I did like Luke picking up his X-wing too.
Callback.
As much as a callback
Even when
it
he
was.
catches the
it was cool
lightsaber.
seeing it. Yeah, it was stupid.
And
But
he's like, don't like disrespect our Jedi's weapon shouldn't, whatever he says. But, you know.
you didn't think it was cool him picking up the X-wing and seeing that X-wing again? I thought it was pretty cool.
But that's a moment like straight up like, hey, remember?
yeah.
Luke's X-Wing.
And that like,
No, give me a break.
I don't know if it was meant to be like
I can't like one thing that they did.
like a tongue-in-cheek joke or a direct dig at what he did in The Last Jedi, but when he says that
Yeah.
after he catches the lightsaber, it was pretty like, ugh. But I do like the conversation they have. Here's a fun game. I'm going to say good things. You guys say if you agree. Babu
Alright.
Frick.
Loved him.
Oh yeah, he's star of the movie.
Nah, C3.
Their
star.
fight on the Endor.
Loved it.
Cool.
I like the star. I like the lightsaber fights. All
It
of
was
them.
fine.
Yeah. This is, I don't know. I'm not going to say if I like it or not, but the conversation with Han Solo.
I
didn't
loved
like
it.
Awesome.
That's probably the best scene of the movie.
Yeah. But I really wish that was like Han Solo. I know he can't be a Force ghost.
They just
but,
redid it from when he killed him.
Yeah, but this time
But it
he's...
was Harrison Ford was good in that moment, and
That's-
it's cool to see Harrison Ford acting good.
Oh, it was a callback.
No,
Yeah,
but it's more... Sometimes it works.
Yeah, but when it's Han Solo, come on, man.
Luke pick up the X-Wing didn't work?
No, but this is like, I feel like that was actually a pretty convincing moment for Kylo Ren. Probably the only one of the movie where I can see him actually making the change into Ben Solo. And then I really like him when he's Ben at the end, when he's running in with the blaster, fights the Knights of Ren. Although I wish the Knights of Ren gave us anything.
Yeah, that I don't like, because like I said, I was so ready to cut it off. I think the whole concept of them being a Force dyad is interesting, but they don't do much with it. It's just Palpatine discovers it at the last minute. He's like, oh, I'm just
he
gonna
takes the power.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, I'll just live forever. Fuck the Sith.
And I think that's one of the worst.
He switches on a fucking dime.
It's like, oh, cool, I can be a king now. I
know I could do that.
This has been my plan since the beginning.
That's why I love Palpatine. He's just down for whatever. He's very practical.
But that last fight confrontation is so anticlimactic. Even the space battle is so uninspiring.
Yeah, it should have been such a great moment, man, to see all of them show up. Mm-hmm. It is. That's when the movie does, for me at least, feel big. Like this is a big moment. But once again, you don't have much emotional attachment to what's happening, and that's the most important. When you're watching Lando and Return of the Jedi, they're trying to destroy the engine, and they're on Endor trying to take down the shield. That shit is dope because you're so invested in those characters at that point.
The voiceovers are always like, I don't hate the idea. Force Ghosts would have been cooler, but like it always makes me laugh when it's
that
like
pisses me off.
It's
actually,
like balance the Force like I did, and like
balance, Rey, as I did.
In the night, find the light, Rey.
You're not alone, Rey.
Rey, do this, Rey, do this, and then you just hear Rey.
We stand behind you, Rey.
yeah, Obi-Wan. Rey.
That's all.
Nobody's picked up on that yet.
Obviously, he's not alive, but like the only thing they can conjure up is Rey.
yeah. And it's the same thing they did in The Force Awakens.
It's like you have young Obi-Wan. I know it's a cool moment to include that voice, but you don't really need to do that because how are there two Obi-Wan Force Ghosts?
Also, the Jedi have been around for thousands of years, and it's just the 9 ones from the last 40 years. You are all of the Jedi.
It's like let's find
It's 10 Jedi.
We either found a really good Alec Guinness impersonator or just kind of mashed up a couple words he said once.
You know who was great in this? Richard E. Grant as Pride.
I was gonna be my other good thing.
The guy since the beginning.
Fucking just as equally as bad though is Hux. Again, just a terrible character.
No, what do you say? He just like came out, I'm the spy.
Yeah, and I think what they did to Hux in The Last Jedi carries over here where they realize that this isn't going to be a fan favorite. This isn't a very important character, so we'll give him this role as a plot device,
But he wasn't
and then we'll
bad.
kill him off.
At first. He wasn't
too.
bad at first.
No, he wasn't. He's not
Yeah.
bad in the first movie.
And arguably, like, I wouldn't say he's better than Adam Driver, but he's arguably the best actor in this, like, or one of the top of this whole cast. And just, I gave him absolutely nothing to do. Two different characters from the first movie to The Last Jedi, and even in this movie.
Could you imagine being on that table, knowing that anything you say, you might get choked with Kylo?
I hated that scene too.
The guy
He's Vader now.
He made a good point, and he gets force choked.
Actually, I did laugh when she said she liked the mask.
I sense unease about my appearance, General Hux.
About the mask? No, sir. Well done. I like it.
That's another thing, though. They established in The Last Jedi he's done with the mask.
Yeah.
And that's a moment for him. You know, he's growing into becoming a psychopath. And then they just give him the mask again in this movie. And it's so stupid in those Force Bond scenes now. And he's standing there in the mask and he can't emote. This guy did such a great job of emoting in the last movie. I think that was the whole point of Rian Johnson doing that. Yeah, let's get him from out under the mask and let this guy show off what he's got.
Because he can do it. It's like,
and then they put him back in this stupid ass mask. I know that there was an idea his face was going to be more scarred up over the course of this movie, and he was going to become more mechanical.
Yeah.
That he was going to repair himself with Mandalorian metal. What is it called again? The Beskar.
Yeah.
Him becoming more like a Vader character. Mm-hmm. He's half machine, half man.
Another positive I do always, and this carries over from The Last Jedi, I do like the way they introduced that connection to the Force. I think that always just makes for some cool like scenes when that happens.
yeah, it's just new for the Force, and it was a good idea. I know a lot of people didn't like that, because they've never seen it before.
But as a visual director, Rian Johnson is better than J.J. Abrams. And there are times here when J.J. Abrams is just, you could tell that he doesn't know how to pull out emotions from scenes like Rian Johnson did.
Like, one of the reasons why I did like the fight scene so much on the Endor, I guess it was a moon, or whatever, is like, I never agreed with this criticism when it's like, oh, Rey beat Kylo, like, this is stupid, she doesn't have training, yada, yada, yada. I feel like that's just, I don't agree with that argument. I think especially with how they explain Kylo's state at that moment, and with them being kind of equals in the Force, that it can make sense. But I do like that Kylo, it kind of flips where Rey's in a mentally unstable place, and it shows through performance, because like a lot of that has to do with your ability in a Force and your overall fighting ability. So I do like how the way they showed Rey breaking down and Kylo being able to best her until Leia intervenes. I thought that was actually really well done. But like I said before, Rey getting to that point is just that doesn't make the most sense to me.
Yeah.
But like in that moment, in that fight, kind of flipping it at the end, I really did enjoy. That's why I really like that fight.
Yeah, that was such a big point of discussion when Force Awakens came out, and now no one really cares at this point.
But also, like, I think, like, even the scene when she sees, like, the Darth Rey, cool, but, like, I don't think it didn't really fit at the time and place.
Yeah, this movie is just a whole lot of stuff. It's how much can we throw at the audience, how much are they going to recognize, and, oh, Rey's bad, Kylo's good, or Rey's good, Kylo's bad, and Lando, and also Lando's got a kid, and Finn's Force sensitive because we lied about him being a Jedi, so trying to make up for that. And Oscar Isaac's still trying to give him some more screen time after The Force Awakens, because he's become more famous. Even when he has that moment where he's behind, he's Leia's passed on after she connects to, and they did a well enough job with the footage they had of Carrie Fisher. It sucks that, she passed away. When he's saying, oh, I'm not ready for this, it's like, yeah, of course not. You haven't done anything. We haven't seen you do anything except be an asshole in The Last Jedi.
Also,
you got captured and you've almost killed everyone.
It was almost every line was cringeworthy from him.
The development's just not there. So when they're like, oh, we had each other, how do we overcome an empire? We've got family, but are you?
No. Another thing, this is like a problem
like family.
With the whole entire Star Wars universe as a whole. It is very easy to become a general. Not easy, because you still have to, like, be a big deal and, like, do things, but, like, they just give that out. Everyone's a general.
You do one good thing and you're there.
No, just people die, and, like, all right, we need a new general.
True.
Yeah.
Poe's been around this whole time.
Yeah, can we...
Oh, Finn, yeah, all right. How long have you been here for? A couple of years? Nah, general.
Was he commander?
Family Guy makes that joke when Leia's given the game plan in A New Hope, and somebody goes, can we speak to somebody from the military?
Any questions?
Yeah, is there someone from the military we can talk to?
Also, the response to Kelly Marie Tran being berated with misogynistic and racist comments for 2 years after The Last Jedi, the response that Disney has is to give her a lesser role in this movie.
Dude,
so,
she's not in this movie.
When Disney tries to congratulate themselves on certain moments and scenes and inclusivity, once again, they show that it's all about what they think is going to make the most money. It's not about doing the right thing, that's Hollywood. But for it to be so blatant, I feel so bad for that actress.
She literally has nothing to do.
No.
And even, like, I feel like...
Just put her on the stupid adventure with all of them.
She had
they're running around with Lando. He's 80.
Bro, she had like 45 minutes in The Last Jedi.
You know how much screen time she has in this? 78 seconds.
Was it really that? I'm trying to think. Was it really that one scene when they're in the forest and she makes that
and
comment?
She's got like those little bit parts when they're making the game plan,
yeah,
and when they're charging the command ship.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Nothing.
And then Finn's like, I'm with my new friend. We're gonna go do this. You go back to the ship.
Yeah, that sucks. They had such a good time together in The Last Jedi, and now he's just he's nothing. She saved his life.
She kissed him.
She kissed him.
Yeah, I think the response to a lot of the fan backlash from Disney has been really just miscalculated. Like we said, if they would have came out and just stuck to the plan that Rian Johnson established in The Last Jedi, you would have at least had if you come out and you give a movie that's on the same level, you have a trilogy here, at the very least.
No, at the very least, it's cohesive. I think some people still won't like it because if you don't like The Last Jedi, and Rian Johnson comes back and completes that vision, you're probably not going to like this movie either. At the very least, half the people who ride at Rian Johnson are going to like it, and at the very least, even the people who don't like it could be like, well, at least it was cohesive. Whereas everybody on this one is just like, it's a mess.
It was like good, okay, abomination.
Yeah, as an artist, you're supposed to be ahead of the audience. You're not supposed to react to what the audience says. You're supposed to put something out there, let them react to it, and if they don't like it, tough. You learn to live with it. If they would have came out with a movie where our expectations were set from The Last Jedi, where we know where Kylo and Rey and Luke and all these characters stand, and they continue with that story, the response would not have been as negative, because we would have been way more prepared for the world we were stepping into. It wasn't going to be a world where, oh, what's Snoke going to do? Dead. Who's Rey? Nobody. Okay, now we got the chance to sit with these ideas. Let's see where the story goes next. Oh, we're taking it back to The Force Awakens. What? It's just whiplash.
It's almost like as fans, like you're giving your suggestions, and it's just like you're just throwing them out there because it's like it's what you want, and then like they listen to you. Why the hell would you listen to me? It's just,
but dude,
I'm just like giving my opinion.
Even critics are behind the artists more often than not. Critics will make it seem, oh, this is where art needs to go, and then you'll be able to point out an example of the art already being there. So for them to, like I said, to go so backwards in every respect it's terrible for filmmaking, especially blockbuster filmmaking.
And that's why when you always like joke around, or I think actually you might be serious, when you're like, oh, episode 10's coming. What the fuck is episode 10 going to be about?
Is there time travel in Star Wars yet?
Yeah.
Bring back Palpatine. Palpatine got regenerated. Some distant threat that was in the shadows.
Yeah.
A new Force user, a new religion.
There's
been a new cult.
Yeah, as equals
After
good.
the destruction of the Sith and the Jedi, a new cult of dark Force users has arisen in the Outer Rim.
I don't want to see a continuation of the story about Kylo Ren, unless it's like so far in the future.
Oh my god, like Kylo Ren's the fucking sticking point here.
They ruined the franchise.
They ruined it. What do you mean you don't want to see a story anymore with Kylo Ren? They finished it. He's done.
He needs more.
That's like saying, oh, I need to see another story with Jon Snow. You had your shot, and you blew it.
But like, you know,
Kylo got his
maybe
good movie in The Last Jedi.
Twin. He's a twin. Leia's a twin. It only makes sense for her to have twins. That's
they need to go
genetics.
to the Knights of the Old Republic.
Teddy agreeing with that? It's like, yeah, it is biology.
It is.
That's how these things work.
You got some ground to stand on.
If me and you came into this review liking this movie, I think we could have convinced Ted to be content with it.
100%.
So yeah, the visuals are pretty cool.
And I don't think like...
And there was one shot that was pretty cool with the two ships, with the X-Wing and
you love that X-Wing.
Yeah, I do. You remember it? Like it flashed onto it and you saw it. When you guys stitch the movie together, you'll see it.
Now I'm gonna have to look for this fucking scene.
It's always the worst.
It's right when
Kylo
Kylo gets
like
to
an
Exegol.
Thing.
It's
like,
right when he gets to Exegol, and it's like a flash, and you see both their ships together.
Oh, okay.
At the end.
Yeah,
cool.
Okay.
I don't know how to
around
find
like
that now.
2 hours and like 10 minutes.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, so I don't think you gave it a 1-star review, which fair. For me, I don't know if it's on that same like level as 1 and 2, but I don't really know where I would really work those out.
I don't know, 3 stars.
No, it's that's the thing though. It's a 1-star movie because it's only more than a 1-star because of things that they're ripping off of the other movies.
Yeah.
Can you make it 0
You
stars?
don't get points for that. It only goes so far. With Force Awakens, at the end of the day, they gave us some great characters and some great performances, and the action set pieces were a bit more creative and engaging.
Well, I
This
think
movie
like 1 and
wasn't.
2 are just bad movies, but like at least they have an idea.
They have heart. You gotta have heart.
I think they have heart. Especially Attack of the Clones, as bad as the romance is, it's still centered on a romance.
Yeah.
The writing is horrible. The chemistry is really bad, but it's all about love at the end of the day.
But there was actually...
It was a cohesive
there was
story,
like a
though.
plan there, even
Yeah.
though the plan wasn't executed correctly.
Yeah.
Here was no plan, and I guess
There was no roadmap
the
to this
execution
fucking
was
movie.
as good as you could do for what you wanted
But the
to
plan
do.
was fine also after The Last Jedi. So that excuse, I understand that. Yeah, maybe you want to come into episode 7 with a more cohesive plan, but you had something after 2.
Mm-hmm.
You still had something. The fans would have gotten over it. They would have came out for episode 9.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you just like made it badass, because I think it would have been more violent. I think it would have been even more mature than episode 8, because like I said, Rian Johnson really wanted to show the cost of war. And I think it is Star Wars, right? It's in the fucking title. So it would have been nice to have a epic war movie type conclusion.
Dude, was Palpatine in the trailer too?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was, right? So they blew their load in the trailer?
Yeah, here's life.
Right, yeah, exactly. Maybe if it was something at least they hid, you still not. The reception still wouldn't have been positive.
Did that speak, man?
No, but imagine
That's
not
fake.
thinking he was there, and then out of nowhere, Palpatine comes back. I think you hate it more, actually.
Yeah, so The Rise of Skywalker, I imagine it's a movie we aren't done talking about, but for some people, I know that this is it. So they've cut themselves off from the Force after this movie. So congratulations to them. I wish I could join you. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Any last thoughts here, guys, on the Skywalker Saga?
Don't call me again for this movie.
We already finished it. Damn, we were making some good points in that video. Hey guys, Aaron the Nerd Suit Monkey here. Before we end this video, I want to give a quick shout out to our Patreon supporters. What can I say about you guys that I haven't already said about myself? You are the most important part of the channel and the main reason we keep going strong. Like Beau says, you keep the lights on in the fridge so the fridge is full. Or something like that. So, from everyone here at Nerd Soup, I'd like to thank you guys for your continued support. If you're interested in joining the ranks of our patron supporters, head over to patreon.com/nerdsoup and check out the rewards we offer to our patrons. We recently dropped some new stickers for you guys to check out, or you could choose a tier that will allow you to select a movie, show, or video game for us to review. We've got a full slate of fan-suggested reviews coming your way, and we're really excited about the chance to review some of those movies and shows. We've also got t-shirts, mugs, behind-the-scenes videos showing how we bring our videos to life. And once again, thank you to all our Patreon pledgers who have been supporting us throughout the years. Without you, we wouldn't be able to convert all your pledges into cryptocurrency, so thank you from my future self for making us rich.